Hey guys, your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll be covering today will be in the sport of football inside the NFL world. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the latest NFL Pro Bowl roster that has been released for the 2024-25 NFL regular season. So, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the NFL Pro Bowl list. I won't go into every detail of the Pro Bowl list, but I'll go into the details that stand out to me the most in this segment. So, starting off with the first thing, there is a list of 4 NFL teams that did not have any Pro Bowlers for their regular season in 2024-25 in the regular season. That being the New York Jets, the New Orleans Saints, the Miami Dolphins, and the Tennessee Titans are the 4 teams in the National Football League that had 0 Pro Bowlers this NFL regular season, which is disappointing, especially for this Jets team that was supposed to exceed a lot of expectations this year. I mean, they got a lot of talent on paper, but it didn't translate into the win-loss column this year. I mean, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner. I mean, and none of these players made the list. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle didn't make the list for the Dolphins this year. Really surprising to me that those 2 teams had 0 Pro Bowlers. But let's get into the quarterback section for this. Starting off with the AFC, you had Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow make the Pro Bowl roster, all well-deserved. All 3 of those respective quarterbacks are actually the 3 best quarterbacks in the National Football League this NFL regular season, so well-deserved. And if it wasn't for Joe Burrow having 8 losses, he would be in the MVP conversation with the likes of Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson this year. So I get the fact that all 3 of them made it well-deserved. Now, running backs, we're going to have a discussion about this, but the 3 running backs that were selected were Derrick Henry, who is having a career year with the Baltimore Ravens, definitely a true difference maker in the backfield for them. Joe Mixon, running back for the Houston Texans, nearly had 1,000 yards rushing with only 3 games missed this year. Still got a game to play if the Texans play their starters. And Jonathan Taylor, I think he was the best player for the Indianapolis Colts all year long. Now, I will say there was a player that was snubbed at the running back position in the AFC, that being James Cook, running back for the Buffalo Bills. Now, James Cook should have got in over Joe Mixon. In my opinion, I think James Cook was a more dynamic player in the backfield this year for the Buffalo Bills rather than Joe Mixon, who did miss 3 games compared to James Cook, who was healthy. Well, James Cook did miss time, but if you look at what James Cook did in the backfield, who's more explosive, receiving the ball and running the ball, and it shows in the touchdown category. James Cook had a total of 17 touchdowns this year compared to Joe Mixon's 12 touchdowns. And if Josh Allen didn't take up a lot of rushing touchdowns, especially at the goal line, taking away some glory from James Cook, but it was understandable because Josh Allen's in the MVP conversation. James Cook would have padded more touchdown stats and definitely would have increased the argument even more for him to get in over Joe Mixon. So give me James Cook. I think he should have got in over Joe Mixon. Now, again, some things to talk about the wide receiver position. At the wide receiver position for the AFC, you have Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, Jerry Jeudy. Now, my thoughts on the wide receivers, Jamar Chase, there's no debate that he should have been a Pro Bowler, having the best year of his NFL career thus far. Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, I do believe they were the popular votes. Jerry Jeudy does deserve it, but I do believe that Zay Flowers and Nico Collins were popular votes here because Brian Thomas, wide receivers for the Jacksonville Jaguars, should have got in. I mean, he played with two quarterbacks this year, Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones, and still had over 1,000 receiving yards in his rookie season. I mean, this cat coming from LSU had 80 catches, was 5th in the league in receiving yards, has 10 touchdowns. I mean, that's more touchdowns than what Zay Flowers, Jerry Jeudy, and Nico Collins had this year. Way better stats than Nico Collins and Zay Flowers this year. I don't understand how Brian Thomas did not get in. Popularity talks when it comes to Pro Bowl, getting in the Pro Bowl nowadays, or getting a Pro Bowl vote. And I think if Brian Thomas was on a much better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars, he definitely would have got in over Zay Flowers or Nico Collins. I think Brian Thomas was definitely snubbed of a spot. Now look at the tight ends here. The controversy here again. Brock Bowers, rookie tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he's going to be the best tight end in football in a year from now. Definitely no debate for that. But Travis Kelce getting in, I don't think that's right. I think Jonnu Smith, tight end for the Miami Dolphins, should have got in here. I think Travis Kelce had more catches, but it was a lot of dink and dunks of what Patrick Mahomes was giving him for him to get 97 catches this year, and what was one of the worst years, respectfully, in his NFL career. But Jonnu Smith had more receiving yards, 828 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, and averaged 10 yards per catch. I think Jonnu Smith was just a better player, and I think he should have gotten in over Travis Kelce this year. Now, the snubs on defense in the AFC is really mind-boggling, and this is going to come in the secondary. Players that were snubbed on the defensive side of the ball for the AFC, I think Trent McDuffie, cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs, he was snubbed. And Christian Gonzalez, cornerback for the New England Patriots, was snubbed. I think those two cornerbacks should have got in on this secondary lineup for the AFC Pro Bowl roster. But Christian Gonzalez, this one really breaks my heart because the man was balling out. And yes, he's on one of the worst teams in the league with the New England Patriots. But what this man did, he's doing things that you really don't see nowadays in defensive schemes, with a number one wide corner following a number one wide receiver for the entire game, traveling with them on each side of the ball. I mean, Christian Gonzalez only allowed 70 targets this year, 31 completions, 44% completion rate, allowed under 400 yards receiving in all the games that he's played in this year, under 25 receiving yards per game, 2 interceptions, 7 pass breakups, and a touchdown scored. How is that not good enough to make the Pro Bowl? So I definitely think that Trent McDuffie and Christian Gonzalez was snubbed big time. It definitely should have gotten in. Now, we're going to move on to the NFC, starting off with the quarterbacks. You had Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels, and Sam Darnold make it. Jared Goff and Sam Darnold have led their respective teams to 14-2 starts this year. And the reason why their offenses are humming this year, so I don't think there's a debate. There could be a little debate for this final spot between Jaden Daniels and possibly Baker Mayfield. I would give the nod to Jaden Daniels based on what he's done as a rookie and having the rushing stats as well. And Baker Mayfield has had a tremendous year, but I would give that nod to Jaden Daniels. But that is very debatable if Baker Mayfield was snubbed or not from the Pro Bowl. Now, running backs, you had Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Saquon Barkley having the best year of his NFL. All three of these guys actually are having the best years of their NFL careers in the backfield right now. But there's also an argument that Bijan Robinson could have got in, but it's so many talented running backs in the NFC that I understand that he didn't get the nod, even though he played good enough to be a Pro Bowler. But look at what Saquon Barkley's done. Look at what Jahmyr Gibbs, especially Jahmyr Gibbs, look what he's done sharing the backfield with David Montgomery for most of the year. He still finds himself putting up Pro Bowl stats. And Josh Jacobs is having the best year of his NFL career. It's one of the best years of his NFL career. It's just hard to not put Bijan Robinson in here, but it's also a legitimate argument that these three should also be in. So I get Bijan Robinson not making it. Very hot take. Next at the wide receivers, you had Justin Jefferson, Amon St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Terry McLaurin. Definitely no debate that all four of these receivers should have gotten in on the NFC side. So I'm glad they got that right. Tight end, no debate here as well. George Kittle and Trey McBride for the Arizona Cardinals. I think those both have been the best tight ends that the NFC has had to offer all year long. Especially George Kittle still going out and playing 110% with the 49ers this year, even though they're playing not at the level that they want to. And Trey McBride, I'm glad he finally got a touchdown, because this is a guy that's had over 100 catches this year, over 1,000 yards. And I was watching that Rams and Cardinals game on Saturday night. I'm like, please can this guy just score one touchdown? But he scored a touchdown. It would have been insane if he didn't score at least one. So definitely the best pass catching option for the Arizona Cardinals this year. Well deserved by both of them. Now, the defensive snubs for the NFC would be Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Kirby Joseph, safety for the Detroit Lions. Now, Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, as a rookie, has balled out, has locked up your favorite wide receivers on the outside in his rookie year. Definitely is going to be the future cornerstone, one of the future cornerstone pieces for the Philadelphia Eagles on the defensive side of the ball. And then Kirby Joseph, how do you not have him as in the Pro Bowl? I mean, this is one of the best safeties of football. He's had 9 interceptions, 77 total tackles, a touchdown, and he has the 4th best odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. What are we talking about? Why is he not in there with his other safety mate, Brian Branch, in the secondary on the Pro Bowl roster? It's just, I don't get it. I mean, I'm not saying that the entire Pro Bowl was wrong, but there's a lot of selections that were really popularity picks when really you should have had the best of the best getting in for the Pro Bowl roster. I mean, hell, the Pro Bowl, even though it's an accomplishment that could decide a lot for your legacy. Let's just say that. The game doesn't mean anything. It's not worth a damn. But in terms of your legacy, in terms of being an All-Pro and looking back at your NFL career, if you're missing an NFL Pro Bowl selection, don't you have regrets about that? I mean, I really think that some of these players I named should have had a legit argument to make the Pro Bowl roster this year. But those are my thoughts on the NFL Pro Bowl roster. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.